The most shocking part of Zied telling Rebecca he wants a second wife is not the request itself. It is how calm he is when he says it. Rebecca walks into that conversation believing they are finally going to discuss their future. She expects a difficult conversation, maybe about money, family, or where they're going to live. Instead, Zied looks at her and explains that he has been thinking about building a different kind of family. At first, Rebecca does not even react. She looks at him like she is waiting for the real explanation. She thinks she misunderstood him. But then Zied repeats himself.
He still cares about her.
He still says he loves her. Yet he believes their marriage is no longer giving him the family life he imagined. That is when Rebecca asks the question that changes everything. Is there already another woman? Zied does not say yes. But he also does not say no. And that hesitation tells Rebecca more than a direct answer ever could. Because this does not sound like a sudden thought anymore. Zied appears prepared. His words are controlled. His explanation sounds rehearsed. Rebecca is hearing this for the first time, while Zied seems to have already spent weeks processing it. Then the hidden travel confirmation appears. Then the message arrives. Did you tell her? And suddenly, this is no longer a conversation about something Zied might want someday. There is another woman. There is a trip to Tunisia. There is family involvement. And there may be two completely different versions of the marriage being told to two different women. The question is no longer whether Zied wants a second wife. The real question is whether he has already created a second life and expected Rebecca to quietly remain available while he decided which future he preferred. Rebecca's silence matters here because it completely changes the emotional temperature of the confrontation. In most explosive reality television moments, viewers expect shouting. They expect accusations, tears, and someone storming away before all the information comes out. But Rebecca becoming quiet is much more unsettling. Silence gives her time to listen. It also gives Zied enough space to reveal how much planning has already happened. Zied tells her that he still cares about her, but his focus quickly moves toward what he feels is missing. He wants a stronger family connection. He wants children. He wants a future that matches the expectations he has been carrying. Those concerns may be real. Wanting a different future does not automatically make someone cruel.
People change.
Their priorities change. Sometimes two people reach a painful point where love is no longer enough to erase incompatible goals. But that is not the biggest problem here. The problem is that Zied appears to have reached that point alone. He has been questioning the marriage without including Rebecca in the process. By the time he finally speaks, he is not inviting her into an honest conversation. He is presenting her with a conclusion he has already had time to accept. That creates an enormous power imbalance. Zied has emotionally prepared himself. Rebecca has not. He knows what he wants to say. She is still trying to understand what is happening. He has considered his options. She did not even know she was being compared with another possible future. This is why his careful language feels so important. He does not tell Rebecca that the marriage is over. He does not say he wants to leave immediately. Instead, he talks as though he expects her to negotiate. He appears to believe there may be some arrangement where he can explore another marriage while still keeping Rebecca emotionally connected to him. That expectation reveals a lot. Zied may believe Rebecca's fear of losing him will be stronger than her anger. He may think she will cry, argue, and eventually accept a compromise. He may also believe that because she has invested so much in the relationship, she will not walk away quickly. But Rebecca's first real suspicion begins when she asks how long he has been thinking about another wife. His answer is devastating. Long enough to know this feeling will not disappear. That statement sounds simple, but it completely changes the meaning of the conversation. It tells Rebecca that this is not an idea he had yesterday. It is not something his family mentioned once during a phone call. Zied has apparently been sitting with this feeling. He has tested it in his own mind. He has decided it is permanent enough to bring into the marriage. And he did all of that without her. Rebecca begins replaying everything she recently ignored. The private phone calls suddenly feel different. Zied's protective behavior around his phone no longer seems harmless. His conversations about children, tradition, and family expectations start sounding less like general concerns and more like pieces of a plan. This is what betrayal often does to a person's memory. It forces them to go backward. Rebecca is not only reacting to the information in front of her. She is mentally reviewing weeks of ordinary moments and asking whether any of them were actually ordinary. Every unexplained call becomes suspicious. Every emotional distance becomes evidence. Every conversation she dismissed now feels connected. That does not mean every suspicion is automatically true. But once trust is damaged, the mind begins searching for the moment when the hidden story started. Rebecca now understands that her marriage may have been quietly redefined without her consent. Zied may still think of Rebecca as his wife, but if he has already begun preparing for another woman, another home, or another family structure, then Rebecca's role has already changed. She just was not informed. Then she notices the printed travel confirmation beside his passport. The destination is Tunisia. The departure date is 2 weeks away. Zied never told her he was going. This is the point where his argument becomes much harder to defend. Until this moment, he can claim that he is only expressing feelings. He can say he has not made a decision. He can argue that Rebecca is reacting before anything has happened. But the ticket proves that something has happened. There is now a timeline. There is a destination. There is a plan that existed before Rebecca was given the truth. Zied explains that he wanted to visit his family before making a final decision. That explanation might sound reasonable on the surface. Family influence is clearly important to him. Returning home could help him think. But Rebecca asks the obvious question. Why did he book the ticket before talking to his wife? Zied says he knew she would become emotional. That statement may be one of the biggest red flags in the entire storyline. He is using Rebecca's predictable emotional reaction as a reason to hide something from her. Instead of saying, "I was afraid of hurting you," he frames her feelings as an obstacle. He suggests that secrecy was necessary because honesty would have caused discomfort. That is not protection. That is control through information. Zied decided when Rebecca was allowed to know. He decided how much she could handle. He made travel plans affecting their marriage and then treated her emotional response as proof that hiding them was justified. Rebecca feels dismissed because she is being denied the right to react to her own life. Zied may believe he was avoiding conflict, but avoiding a conversation does not remove the conflict. It only allows one person to gain a head start. Rebecca asks whether his family has already chosen someone. Again, Zied does not give her a clear answer. He says his family wants him to be happy. That answer sounds supportive, but it also feels deliberately vague. Rebecca is not asking whether his family loves him. She is asking whether they are involved in finding him another wife. By avoiding the specific question, Zied makes the suspicion stronger. This is where viewers would likely begin dividing into different camps. Some fans may feel that Zied is struggling between his marriage and powerful family expectations. They may believe he has spent years trying to balance two different lives and has finally reached a point where he can no longer ignore what he wants. A section of the audience may also argue that Rebecca should not be shocked that children and family tradition remain important to him. They may say those differences should have been confronted much earlier. But many viewers would probably focus on the secrecy, because cultural differences can explain why two people want different futures. They do not automatically excuse hidden travel plans, private conversations, or allowing another person to believe a marriage is ending. The issue is not that Zied has questions. The issue is that he appears to have started answering those questions with everyone except Rebecca. That becomes even clearer when she demands to see his phone. Normally, asking to inspect a partner's phone can be a serious boundary problem. Privacy still matters inside a marriage. A person does not lose every right to personal space because their partner feels insecure. But this situation is no longer based on random jealousy. Zied has introduced the possibility of another marriage. He has hidden a trip to Tunisia. He has refused to confirm whether another woman exists. Under those circumstances, Rebecca is not searching for imaginary evidence. She is asking him to support the story he is telling her. Zied refuses. He accuses Rebecca of treating him like a criminal. That response shifts attention away from the original problem. Instead of explaining why the trip was hidden or why he cannot directly answer her questions, Zied focuses on how insulted he feels. This is a common pattern in communication breakdowns. The person being questioned becomes so offended by the method of confrontation that the original reason for the confrontation gets buried. Rebecca refuses to let that happen. She tells him that privacy cannot be used to hide decisions affecting both people in a marriage. Zied insists that nobody has betrayed her. Rebecca immediately notices the wording. He says nobody has betrayed her. He does not say there is no woman. That may sound like a small difference, but in a confrontation built around incomplete answers, wording matters. Zied may be defining betrayal very narrowly. In his mind, perhaps nothing physical has happened. Maybe no promise has been officially made. Therefore, he believes he can honestly say nobody betrayed Rebecca. Rebecca's definition is different. For her, betrayal begins when secret emotional planning starts. It begins when another person is invited into conversations about a future that still officially belongs to the marriage. Then Zied's phone receives a message. Did you tell her? 3 words destroy almost every defense he has used. The message proves that another person knew this conversation was coming. Rebecca may have been the last person informed about a decision affecting her own marriage. Zied initially tries to dismiss the sender as a family member, but Rebecca has heard too many incomplete explanations. She demands a name. Finally, he admits the message came from Amira. Their families introduced them through relatives. Zied insists he has not married her. He says they have only discussed compatibility, expectations, and what each of them wants from family life. But this is where Zied and Rebecca are operating with completely different definitions of commitment. Zied focuses on what he has not done. He has not married Amira. He has not made a final promise. He has not officially left Rebecca. Rebecca focuses on what he has done. He has spoken privately with another woman about marriage. He has allowed family members to become involved. He has hidden those conversations. And he has booked a trip connected to the decision. Zied is separating intention from action. Rebecca believes the intention is already in action. That disagreement is bigger than Amira. It reveals that they no longer share the same understanding of loyalty. When one partner believes nothing counts until a final decision is made, that person can justify months of secrecy. The other partner experiences every hidden step as part of the betrayal. Rebecca asks whether Amira knows Zied is married. He says yes. That answer creates another major problem. If Amira knows about Rebecca, what exactly has Zied told her? Does she believe Rebecca has approved this possibility? Does she think the marriage is ending? Does she believe Zied is already emotionally available? Rebecca asks whether Amira expects her to remain in the marriage. Zied cannot answer confidently. And his sudden panic when Rebecca says she wants to contact Amira tells us almost everything we need to know. Zied may not be afraid of a fight between the two women. He may be afraid they will compare stories. That is what happens when someone manages relationships through controlled information. Each person receives a different version. Rebecca hears that Zied still loves her and has not decided anything. Amira may be hearing that the marriage is practically finished and Zied is preparing to return home. As long as they remain separated, Zied controls the narrative. The moment they speak, he loses that control. Rebecca finds Amira's contact information through the message notification and asks for an honest conversation. Zied accuses her of creating unnecessary drama. Rebecca's response is simple. The drama began when he created a secret future. Amira agrees to a video call. Rebecca expects another woman who is confident, competitive, or prepared to defend her relationship with Zied. Instead, Amira appears uncomfortable and confused. She says Zied told her his marriage was already ending. According to Amira, Rebecca had emotionally left months earlier. This is the turning point. Rebecca now realizes she was not simply excluded from Zied's plan. She may have been rewritten inside it. Zied apparently needed Amira to believe he was available. So, he presented the marriage as emotionally finished, even though he was still living with Rebecca and telling her he cared about her. Zied interrupts and says Amira misunderstood him. But Amira claims he repeatedly described the relationship as over. She also says his family expected him to return to Tunisia permanently. Now the contradictions are impossible to hide. Rebecca was told Zied needed a temporary family visit before making a decision. Amira was apparently told he was preparing to return home and leave a finished marriage behind. Both versions cannot be completely true. This is the moment Zied stops looking confused and starts looking exposed. A section of the audience might still argue that communication across families, languages, and expectations can create misunderstandings. That is possible. Amira may have interpreted Zied's uncertainty as a final decision. Zied's relatives may also have spoken more confidently than he did. But repeated misunderstandings usually point toward one larger problem. Zied has not been clear with anyone. He wants enough freedom to explore a future with Amira without accepting the consequences of ending his marriage to Rebecca. He also wants enough emotional security from Rebecca to know she will still be there if the new plan does not work. That is why Rebecca packing changes the power dynamic completely. She ends the call, walks into the bedroom, and starts placing her belongings into a suitcase. She does not scream. She does not beg Zied to choose her. She does not ask Amira to disappear. Rebecca simply removes herself from the competition. Zied follows her and immediately starts talking about compromise. He says they can discuss boundaries. He says they have not finished the conversation. He appears shocked that Rebecca would make a decision so quickly. But from Rebecca's perspective, Zied has not made one shocking decision in a few minutes. He has made dozens of smaller decisions over several weeks. He chose to speak with Amira. He chose not to tell Rebecca. He chose to book the ticket. He chose to involve his family. He chose to describe his marriage differently depending on who is listening. Rebecca packing is only the first decision she has been allowed to make with complete information. Zied says family pressure has influenced him. He talks about children, tradition, and his need to feel connected to Tunisia. Those feelings deserve to be taken seriously. But Rebecca makes an important distinction. She does not tell him he is wrong for wanting children. She does not attack his family or say his cultural expectations are meaningless. She says honesty should have come before secret planning. That is what makes her position stronger. She is not demanding that Zied abandon every desire he has. She is saying he cannot pursue those desires behind her back and still expect her loyalty. Then Zied gives her the final piece of the truth. The Tunisia trip is not only a family visit. His family has arranged a formal meeting with Amira. Zied insists that he has not promised to marry her. He says the meeting is only meant to help him decide what he truly wants. But that explanation makes the situation worse. He planned to travel to Tunisia, meet another potential wife, evaluate that future, and then decide whether his marriage to Rebecca was worth keeping. Rebecca was being compared without knowing there was a competition. Zied may see the meeting as research before a life-changing decision. Rebecca sees it as an interview for her replacement. That is why she tells him he has already chosen. Even if he never marries Amira, he chose to make Rebecca one option among several. He chose to place the marriage on hold while he investigated whether something better was waiting for him somewhere else. Zied says he still loves Rebecca. She answers that love without loyalty is not enough. That line captures the entire conflict. Love is not only an emotion. Inside a marriage, love is supposed to influence behavior. It should shape decisions, communication, and honesty. Zied may genuinely feel affection for Rebecca. He may fear losing her. He may even believe he can love her while wanting a completely different future. But Rebecca is no longer asking how he feels. She is looking at what he did. This storyline also raises a difficult question about family influence. Zied may have felt pressure from relatives who believed his current marriage could not give him the future they wanted for him. But pressure does not remove personal responsibility. Families can suggest. Families can criticize. Families can arrange introductions. Zied still had to participate. He still had to reply to Amira. He still had to discuss compatibility. He still had to allow the meeting to be arranged. And he still had to hide the ticket. Blaming family pressure would only explain why the opportunity appeared. It would not explain every choice Zied made after that. Rebecca closes the suitcase, and Zied stands between her and the door. He asks her to wait until he returns from Tunisia. He says he needs time to understand what he truly wants. But that request reveals how much emotional labor he expects from Rebecca. He wants her to remain loyal while he tests another possibility. He wants her to live with uncertainty so he can find certainty. He wants time, patience, and understanding from the person he refused to give honesty. Rebecca refuses. She says she will not wait while her husband interviews another woman. Then she removes her wedding ring and places it on the table. That action finally makes the consequences real for Zied.